Okay guys, so this is how we're going to do a third thief extremely fast. Couple of things we've got to go over first, and the first of those is your generals. What I put on my generals are on them because of their books. These are pretty much what is required when you go on wiki, and it's a wiki skills guide. So if you've already got that, then you're happy. If not, rather than rebook your generals, I would just sim or go to the guides and find a way to use the same amount of generals with the books you've got on. A really good one is the wiki guide, where it's a 270 general with no skills. Well, a booked up vet, for instance, will do any camp that a unbooked 270 general will do. You just add the same amount of MS, mounted swordsmen or knights, and 5 less mounted marksmen or besiegers or whatever, and it works out fine. If you don't have the generals I have, you can substitute. A lot of these, Mary would be able to do the particular camp. Did I show you a vet? I'll show you another one. They're all the same anyway. Mary's a good one. You might have more than 2 mages nowadays, so you could use those instead of somebody at some point, if you don't have Boris or you don't have Vargas. The important thing is that you're going to need 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 generals, and at no point are you going to be waiting for a general to do an attack on a camp and then come back and go out and do another camp. We don't want to do that. They're the loads that I put on for my generals. I'll put that in the comments box below the video, so you don't have to write it down from here. You can just copy and paste it from the comments section underneath the recording. Excuse me a second while I take care of this. How rude. Damn lag. Giddy up. Come on. Right, so the other thing is what's on the generals for each camp. The camp numbers here coincide with the wiki guides. Doesn't matter which one. You could use the 270 here with MMA and marksman, and it will bring up camp numbers for you. If you see that, and then you go to this one, Boris Vargas procedures. Doesn't matter which one you bring up, they're all the same. There's your camp numbers again, exactly the same again. So you can do that to understand which camp the numbers coincide with. I'll give you a quick look at this, but you can pause it if you want. But again, I'll put this in the comment section underneath so you can copy and paste it rather than write it all down off the screen. And then, of course, if your generals are different, you're going to have to change the numbers on some of these to suit what you're going to use. Ignore camp means you don't have to do this camp. We'll get to this at the end. It's not necessary to kill that camp. Right, so I'm going to send my generals now. Now don't fast forward just yet because this bit is vaguely important. I'll start you up. What I'm going to do here is I know what 4 generals are going to be the first 4 to attack, and I want to move them into position before the rest arrive and block where they're going to land. Well, land where I want to put these guys. So I need 1 major, I need Boris, I need Anselm, I need Vargas. So they go now. So I'm going to give them a little tiny head start. I can send my regulars now. And they can go. And now I'll just give those 4 guys a tiny head start. While I'm doing that, I'm just checking that my loads are correct. So they've basically got that on them. You need the 2 mod for the first 2 attacks. Blocks, sorry. They have enough of a head start, I reckon. So now we can send the rest. Oh shit, I was supposed to send a mod. Off you go. He's going to be a little late to the party. So you can pretty much fast forward this now to when I land. All I'm doing is loading the generals, then waiting basically. Well, I'll put a platinum shoe on when I get in there. This area here, I always have my generals in the star menu that I'm not using for the adventure that I'm doing, or over here where these MMA are, otherwise I get confused and it tells me I haven't sent these 2 guys, which I should have done, and that's the value of it, which I'll explain more clearly. See, this area is now visible to me, and I can see if I haven't sent a general that I'm supposed to send to this adventure, because this area is clear of all other generals that are not supposed to be around, except for the regulars. I know I've sent everybody I was supposed to send. Okay, so I'm going to pause this now and I'll see you in there. Okay, so I've put a platinum shoe on. I wouldn't advise wasting anything else, obsidian or mystique or whatever it is, shoe. I don't see the value in it myself. Probably save them for something like mountain. So these are the first generals that I'm going to use on this sector. So I wanted to get them down and in position so when the other guys land, they don't take up their spots. Then I'll have to move a general from here over to here and then move him, and it'll just take that little bit longer. You're going to hear me reiterate the term 12 flags a lot in this. Going to drum it into your head, basically. What are 12 flags, you're asking? You'll find out. That's wrong. The 12 flag rule doesn't apply to this camp because it's actually situated 10 flags away from the attacker. See the red things? They're flags. It's too close to worry about the 12 flag rule. I'll just judge when to send the next guy. Without him getting intercepted is what I'm talking about. He can go. Now the 12 flag rule will apply to this next attack. Major, there, what are you doing up there, son? Okay, so flags. 12 from where I am. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, that's 11. 12 flags away, cannot get intercepted. Not in any adventure, even PvP. Once your 12 flags clear, you can send the next attack. Never fails. There are exceptions to the rule, like that first camp where the camp was only 10 flags away. Well, that's different. And camp 21, it's even closer. So this is a 12 flag rule. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, past 12. He can go. Now, before we send the block on this first camp, it's a bit of a funny one, this one, because we've got two leaders in the same sector. This guy and this guy, and this block won't hold if I send it right now. From experience, I know this general here, to kill that camp in time for that block not to fail, has to be down at this cactus. That comes from experience of doing an adventure. So while we're waiting for him to get down to that cactus, I can load some troops up. And that's what we're waiting for at this stage. Right, so once he gets down here to about that spot there next to the cactus, I can do this block because he has to kill the other leader camp. This one, no 12 rule, because that's a leader camp that he's going past, it won't intercept. And as you'll see, he'll come out behind the guy doing, the leader doing the camp anyway. See there, that's the guy behind that's doing that camp. Boris is another exception to the 12 flag rule. He is going straight to there. He's going to do this camp and he's going to do this camp, which means that he's going to spend time in that camp, which means that the next attack after him, hang on, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, that's 12. He can go now. He's 12 behind that guy who's only doing one camp. Now he's going to spend time in this camp before he moves on to the second one he does, which means these two generals here who are going to this leader camp and this camp have to wait for him to be far enough away that the time he spends in this camp doesn't end up getting them intercepted. Now I know from experience it's this cactus right here. These sort of things, I guess, are trial and error. I made errors. So once he gets down towards that cactus, I can send these guys. So they're pretty much the exceptions to the rule. The only other exception to the 12 flag rule, is if the positions were reversed on this block. And that was the leader, and the block camp was behind him. It would take longer for the block to get there, therefore the main attack would be sent probably 18 flags later. So this block can go now because they're 12 away. 4, 58. There, those two guys are clear. I should have already sent this actually. Too busy yakking. So that's out, and that's our final for the sector. Now all we do is wait and watch. You'll see that leader camp is dead and that block held. That bar always comes up when you use Modi on that camp, but never fails. So now we'll spend the time loading troops for the next sector because these guys are on a pretty long walk here. See the 12 rule, we counted 12 and then we sent him, and he's safely in that camp and he's walking past. So this is Boris now doing the first of his 2 attacks. And these are these guys closing in now. If I had to use the 12 flag rule here, it would be bad. Exceptions to every rule. So I'm just moving these guys a bit closer for when they wander up to the next sector. I know what you're thinking, why can't this block be sent from here? Well, the problem being with that is that they'd have to come down, walk around, build back up, and still be pretty much in the same position. Had I sent them on time, they should be about here now. I was too busy yakking. They should be 12 dots behind these guys, so the first one should be up here, not back here. That's Boris finished. 149. He sometimes comes back at 155. Don't know why that variates, but it does. Not variates, varies. You can go home. That's that leader done. He's wandering back. He went with 265 swordsmen. The reason I use a lot of swordsmen and knights on this particular adventure is because they're faster to make than MS. There is an option on some of these camps to use MS on different generals, but they're so quick to replace. You don't mind losing a couple of hundred of them in an adventure. So only the block left on this sector now. And the clock says we're flying. We've only been going 21 minutes and we've done 2 sectors. We'll probably do this in about 54 minutes, I'd say. I just take this time. I know what each general does next, so I just take this time to load them up. I normally go over and double check everybody. It's always good to do that. And I mean, Boris, for instance, at 177, we're actually going to use him on that camp there. That's his next attack. These first 2 blocks, by the way, they're spaced correctly. You can just send them one after the other. Don't have to worry about the 12 flags for those 2 blocks. You do for, well, you don't for the block for this sector, but you do for the last block. It's done with flags. That's a mod doing that block. I would not suggest delaying sending the second one for very long, because he only holds it for 2 minutes odd. 2 minutes 20 seconds, I think. And it takes a long time for this camp to come down. But like I said, I mean, this block for this can be just sent straight away, one after the other. You don't have to be quick about it. I mean, you know, you can take 1 second in between sending the first guy and the second guy. Now that's a vet there. I hate these things. Why do they have to be there? Why can't they put them over this side where they don't affect anything? They pop up here, sometimes they cover half the screen. Like I need to know about my generals been sent or my generals attacking. I mean, I like the one that says my general's been intercepted, because sometimes that's not supposed to happen. But I mean, telling my general's attacking, I know, I sent it. Dumbasses. So the 12 flag rule is going to apply to the major on the second attack here. However, it will not apply in the third attack, because this second guy is going to take out 2 camps. So he's going to take out that camp and that camp with 285 mm, and he's not going to lose anybody. So he's 12 flag rule. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Off you go. Now again, from experience, I already know he's got to get to that tree right there before I can send this attack. But that's because he's going to spend extra time in the first camp. And there's not many adventures where you take out 2 camps in a row with 1 general anyway. But the 12 flag rule applies on any adventure, any PvP. Off you go. See, now we're back to the rule again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12 is there. So that'll be 10, that'll be 11, that will be 12. Off you go. And to send the block, again, same rule. Count it out yourself. By the way, this is very blurry if you watch it on full screen. If you watch it on theatre mode on YouTube, it's clear. So that's 10, that's 11, 12. Off goes the block. So he's already got into that camp after doing his first one. He hasn't been intercepted because he got to that tree. Remember that? And now you'll see the space between these generals with the 12. That's the block, which does it for you. These two are 12 flags apart. I'll put up the intercept thing for you, and you'll see how clear he was on it at 12 dots. There you go. I'll put this one up for you too. The mercenary recruits is the reason I have my vets booked the way they are. This guy, hostile takeover. It's because they do a lot on different adventures too. They do a lot of having 265 which is a camp done with no losses, and they pick you up these star recruits. Yeah, I've got 24,941. Vargas will be the first one to move down, but he'll go into he does the block position, he does this camp as well as this camp. So he'll be the first one to go down there. Now, I can't tell you how important it is here. Whatever general you're substituting any camp with has to go in the same position as the general doing these attacks. Reason being is for flow. You don't want to spend extra time waiting for a general to walk past you because you put him back here when he should have been up here. So you want to try to work out what general is doing what attack and have him in that appropriate position up the front here. Otherwise it's just going to slow you down. So this area here is where I do the block on the final instead of here where the guides tell you to do it from. And it's just it's a 12 dot rule block. You haven't seen one of those yet, but you're about to. Any block will work with the 12 dot rule, but providing that the main camp is behind the block camps. If it's the other way round, then you have to adjust. This one here, they're level. So, you'd probably want to leave that 14 flags or 16 flags, but they're actually in the position that the guides tell you to do that block in this, so you don't have to count dots for that one. It's just a regular block done off the wiki guide. So this is camp 21. This is a camp which is inside of that 12 flag range. So you'll know from experience when you can send it without getting the next attack without getting intercepted. It's just a bit of common sense, really. So he's going to that camp next, but as you'll see, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 flags away, and he's got 2, 4, 5, 6 flags before he's even going to get intercepted, which means we can pretty much send him now. And now we go back to the rule for the next one. That's 8. Off he goes. Same again. $11 and $12. Off you go. And Boris here is a little bit further back from these two guys, which that regular that blocks that camp is going to block him as well. So we can send Boris a little bit early so he links up with these two guys. Because he's going to walk past the block too. Off it goes. Now I know I haven't loaded Vargas yet, but I never do. I always do it right now. Force of habit. Excuse me. Vargas will still be finished that camp before Anselm finishes the other one anyway. So feel free to do that way. You can always load it prior if you want to. Me no care. So now he's waiting for the 3 of those to clear the 12 dot mark. Or 12 flag mark. Which if you've counted it out, you can see the last guy hasn't got there yet. Now he has, off they go. And now I'm going to do something tricky. I'll be a bit sneaky here. This vet back here is the first one to do the final 4 camps, but he's so far back. So he can go now. He's not going to hurt anybody going now. By the time he gets down to where these next 2 attacks are going, they'll be out. That's 8, 9 dots, 10, 11. Off we go. See, he's still way back here. He's not hurting anybody. The reason he's that far back is because there's no room to put him further forward. That's 10, that's 11, that's 12, and you can see he's still back here. No problem. And now we can do the block. Off you go. Now this is done off the 12 dot rule. So, our first of our block is out. We count 12 dots and we're safe. That's 11. 12, off you go. And for the final, it's 10, that's 11, that's 12, off you go. Now, if I was killing this camp, I would now load this guy, who's a vet, with 20, 120, 125 procedure, and I would send it. But I'm not going to kill it. I'm not going to waste 20, well, probably 18 mounted swordsmen. So what's going to happen? As you can see, all these guys that have been sent with the 12 rule, no one's been intercepted. Everything's working out fine. What's going to happen is that when we get down to here, when these guys do these two camps and block them, and the final knocks this camp out, the stronghold, that camp's still going to be standing. So this block will still be going. So we're going to lose them all, aren't we? Well, we're not, because we're going to end the adventure while they're still inside the camp, and that will null and void that attack. And when you get home, he'll still have 190 on him, and he'll still have 170 on him, because that will never get completed. Now, let's say you're in an adventure and you send a block, and you're sitting there watching it. You're helpless. You can't retreat anymore. You're going to lose 500 troops, a lot of MM, a lot of besiegers. You really wish you could turn back time. Well, what you do there, if it's not an expensive adventure, like not a BC or a second thief, something that costs a bit of coin, if it's just a cutter, for instance, just end the adventure right there and then. Before your block is done and you lose all those MM, just do this. Click there, go down to cancel adventure. Oh, you can't see. Go down to cancel adventure and end it. You'll still get partial XP for what you've done. But importantly, the thing you're doing that's going to cost you all those troops that you know is going to fail because you couldn't retreat in time will be null and void. And when you get home, you'll still have all those troops. There you go, you learnt something. So I'm packing up now because I didn't kill that camp 32, I think it is. So this adventure's not going to end happily for me if I don't end it before the block fails. So they can go, oh, I'll do you as well. Load you up. And you guys can go. So I just loaded all those guys up for the next one of these I do after this. We've already got the troops they carry to the next one. So we're still, this is the guy that we sent early, you know, this guy. He's arriving now. He didn't hurt anybody. Let's load what's left. Send you back. So as you can see so far, we've been in here for 48 minutes. So we should get this done in 51 minutes, maybe. That's fast for a third thief, by the way. Huh. No. By the way, this camp here, if something went wrong for you, that dies with an arrow, fire arrow. But you don't want to be spending a fire arrow every time you do one, so. "50 minutes gone on the clock here. So we're going to do it in 51 because this camp doesn't, this stronghold doesn't take long to go down. Yeah, that block's still going. Those generals will come home with 190 and 170. And that is your third fief. Enjoy.